Morning devos on Fridays in 5 minutes or less. I'm going to read to you today from the book of Hebrews, something that's incredibly rich in Hebrew culture. We only get a little bit of the understanding of it as North Americans. From Hebrews chapter 13. It says, it's referring to the Old Testament model of sacrifice. And in those days, you actually had to, every Sunday or Sabbath or whatever, every time you would come in the presence of the Lord, you'd have to bring a sacrifice, and the priest, or we'd call him pastor today, would sacrifice, kill the animal, and then drain its blood there. And so you'd have a sense of your an exchange, a price paid for your sins. And that's how you had the experience of being right with God. That didn't actually make you right with God, but it was the physical, human thing that we would do that that God would accept. Anyway, so when the blood of animals was presented as a sin offering by the high priest in the sanctuary, so the high priest would do that on your behalf, their bodies, the bodies of the animals that were sacrificed, were burned outside the precincts of the camp. That is why Jesus, when he sanctified men or made us holy by the shedding of his own blood, he suffered and died outside the city gates. Let's think about that. Let us go out to him then beyond the boundaries of the camp, proudly bearing his disgrace. For we have no permanent city here on earth. We're looking for one in the world to come. It's so rich. But understand this. So when Jesus died, just like in the Old Testament, they would do the sacrifices and they would take the bodies and they would burn them outside the camp to not defile the camp. Well, understand this. Jesus, in his plan, when he died for us, he planned it so that he would actually be executed outside the holy city of Jerusalem. Now, that might not mean a lot to you, but he loved Jerusalem. It was the city of David. It was the city that God had made a name for himself. God loved the temple. Jesus loved the temple. He didn't like the abuses of the religion and stuff like that, but it was the place where people met God. And Jesus loved Jerusalem. And it might not seem like a big deal, but if you're going to die for people, if you have to die, you don't want to be taken to a garbage dump to die. But that's where Jesus was actually executed. And that's where he bore all of our sin and our shame and our pain. And now he's inviting us. The implications of this for me, as I prayed about that, is, when you're feeling really broken and you're feeling, whatever, rejected, you failed, you messed up, you feel like you're not good enough or whatever, Jesus actually invites us to meet him outside the camp. In other words, when we're feeling rejected, abandoned, garbage, worthless, that's where he wants us to meet with us. He doesn't need us to get things all right. He doesn't need to meet us in the holy city or in church or in our best attire. He wants to meet us where we're broken. And so if you feel like you've really blown it, you feel like garbage, you feel like unworthy, Jesus wants to meet you there. He bore all of our sin and our shame and disgrace, plus he did it outside the place that he loved. And now he invites us to come. So what I encourage you, especially if you're having a hard time right now, you're going through a tough patch, or you've blown it, or you're facing sins, or you're facing pain or shame or memories from the past, understand that Jesus wants to meet you in that, in the mess, in the garbage, in the pain, in the shame. He died, and he's inviting you now. So hopefully, just think about that. I can't get it out of my head. In fact, sometimes when I pray now, I will approach Jesus in my my mental and emotional approach to him outside the camp. And so hopefully that's encouragement to you. God bless.